Hello, I'm Aubrey Brissette.
And I'm Derek Muirden, welcoming you to another edition of Rustic Living.
In this episode, Derek takes us to an old tuberculosis cure camp that has been transformed by the sweat equity of one family into a showplace and a workplace for rustic designs.
Then Aubrey tours a camp in the Adirondacks that is brand spanking new, but has been cleverly crafted to blend right in to the rustic tradition.
Old is new,
And new is old.
next on Rustic Living.
Production of Rustic Living on Mountain Lake PBS is made possible in part by the Adirondack Museum at Blue Mountain Lake, New York. Exhibits and collections, historic buildings, and scenic spots that tell the stories of life, work, and play in the Adirondack Park. History is in our nature. The Lake Placid Lodge, a Relais Chateau resort located on the shores of Lake Placid in the heart of the Adirondack Mountains. An elegant, rustic lodge with old-world charm, warmly welcoming our friends and neighbors. The Lake Placid Lodge is a proud supporter of Mountain Lake PBS and Rustic Living.
Hello, and welcome to Camp Arden, nestled in the wilderness of the Adirondack Mountains in far upstate New York. Now, that's the Gothard home right behind us. It's actually a combination of buildings that used to be the part of a great camp that was here well over 100 years ago. Today, the Gothards live snug and warm in the wintry Adirondacks, while Steve builds and designs some of the most amazing rustic furniture and rustic interiors that you'll find anywhere. So come on in, I'll introduce you. Maybe we'll even get a hot cup of coffee out of the deal. Okay, here. Oh, wait a minute. Please ring the bell. I don't see any bell. Oh, here's the bell.
Eric, I'm over here.
Ah, okay, I'm on the way. Oh, that's some doorbell. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good, Derek. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hey,
Good.
You got a nice commute.
Yeah, isn't it great?
This is your workshop here,
This
huh?
is it.
What are
This
you
is it.
working on?
I'm working on the sled right now. I got to get it out for a client, and it's going out tomorrow morning, so I was just putting the lead cords
Can we
on.
take a look?
Sure, come on in.
Great. Hey, it's heated. I like it.
Yeah.
Nice workshop. And this is one of your dog sleds.
This is one of our dog sleds.
Now, you started out in the rustic business by building these dog sleds,
That's
right?
correct. This is a traditional one. It's been built for centuries, the same design, and we just carried on the tradition.
Where did you get the design?
My neighbor showed me how to make these sleds, and he's been using this design, and we've just picked it up.
What is it made out of? What is
This
this?
is ash.
Oh, it's ash. I see, so you can bend it all.
Right, it's all steamed and bent, and
It's gorgeous. And this was a family business when you first moved to the Adirondacks?
we homeschooled our kids, and so we wanted to teach them business principles. And so we found products that could be sold, we built them, and then took them out to the clients and sold them.
Since then, you've gone on to become accomplished in rustic design and interior, and also building rustic furniture. Your house is your showcase, isn't it?
Well, we have a few pieces in there.
Yeah, you're being humble. Can you give us a tour?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Great.
Come on,
Lead
let's
on.
go there, get some warmth.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly, but not bad. You go ahead. I'll be right with you, Steve.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this in the truck. Maybe later. You gotta love winter if you live in the Adirondacks. Kind of goes with the territory, doesn't it?
I'm still working on that one. Come on, Derek, come on inside.
Thanks. It's getting a little breezy. Nice entryway, Steve. This looks old, is it?
No, it's not old. We added on this addition here when we came. It was probably around 2000 we put this on.
You put this on so you could have a nice warm walk
That's right.
from the garage to the house. The main house is down this way?
That's right.
Wow, let's take a look, huh?
Come on down.
All righty, thank you very much. I'll just leave my vest here. It'll be all right. Isn't this nice? And you built all this.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Derek, this is our formal dining room.
Wow, this is gorgeous. Very nice.
This is an original building to the camp.
Yeah.
And
Is this original fireplace?
it's original too, right?
No kidding. This fireplace was been standing here how long?
Well, the building was built in about 1898.
But the wall covering up here is yours.
We added that feature to bring a warmth to the room, and we wanted to make sure that it had a lot of character, so we particularly picked that type of bark.
The kind of bark that's gnarly and it's got lots of little things on
Right.
it. It just looks wonderful. You're known throughout the country for that kind of
That's
wall,
correct.
aren't
We
you?
do the smooth too, but we like a lot of character
Yeah.
in ours.
Full of antiques. I love this room. It's great. And I love this absolutely fearless statement that right in the middle of this old camp dining room, you've plopped down a chip-and-dale dining table.
Well, we thought it would be nice to mix the period with the rustic and come up with a nice warm application.
Which you do throughout the house quite successfully.
Thank you. We do that.
Well, Steve, that brings up the whole question that maybe we should answer here about the history of Camp Arden. How did this place get started?
It started out by a socialite couple down in New York City. Name was Carpenter, Herbert Carpenter.
When was this? What year?
It was around the 1880s, and they bought the property, and they wanted to get away from the disease of tuberculosis. And so they came up here, and their whole motive was to breathe in that fresh air, so they built platforms, and they put the tents on the platform.
And the platforms kept them off the ground. It kept them away from the mud and the bugs
Exactly.
and anything else. And the tents would sit on top. And these, of course, the air would be coming through. So that was a great cure.
Right.
And then they would build many of these platforms.
They would.
And these are wealthy people now.
Right.
These are wealthy people from the big cities.
So they could have done what they wanted to, but this is what their idea of camping was and roughing it. The second owners were the Bogies, Robert Bogie, and he came down from Canada, and he actually did have tuberculosis. Bob Bogie owned the camp until 1955, at which time a cure was found for tuberculosis,
Okay.
and really this type of camp was no longer needed. So it just lay dormant for 45 years until we bought it.
Why did you want to take on something like this big?
We just felt it was historically significant, and we just enjoy the Adirondacks, and we thought it would be just a great project. We had a cluster of unique little buildings.
Uh-huh. And you and the family over the years slowly fixed all these up.
What we did is we
And you're
took
still
it-
in the process.
We're in the process still of, well, actually, we've got most of them restored now.
Well, you've done a great job.
Well, thank you.
I look down the end of the table here, and I'm looking out through some double doors into a living room. Was that original?
No, that wasn't original. What was original was the building right behind it, and that's the maids' quarters where they lived and took care of the families here.
And the servants and the maids were right close to the main
Exactly.
kitchen.
So what we did is we put a structure so that we could live here. We just closed in between the two buildings there, and we did a 3-story structure with bedrooms and a living room.
So I love your house.
Well, thank you.
The house is great. But I want to see more of your stuff.
Well, we have some of that in the gallery here.
Is that where we're headed now?
That's where we're headed.
You're really into taxidermy. Is that Arden Creek design too?
That's right. We do all types of species, from mountain lions to bears, full mountain bears to
To a fox.
like that. That's a gray fox.
Look at this, full of taxidermy. You guys do that.
Yes, that's
But
ours.
I really like this bookcase.
Well,
Tell me
thank
about
you. This is a series that we started, and it's made out of pine, tongue and groove backing, pine top. And what we did is then we faced it off with the birch to give it a nice, and then we did a process on the birch to give it
Really?
a nice mellow look.
Well, it looks antique.
Right,
Looks
it's
really
an
old.
antique mellow look that's
What are the
aged.
twig? What's the twig?
And the twig work is cherry, and that's
Ooh, nice.
black cherry that we put on here. It gives a nice texture when it dries. And then we have, we decorate it out with pine cone and put the acorn cap on it.
Now, as I look down, you've got painted pine, but a big piece of pine here that you just varnished.
Right, we did that and just...
Why didn't you paint it?
Because we wanted a nice look, the natural look on top there.
Yeah.
We just thought a break there would be a nice addition to that piece.
And then this is in two pieces.
This is two pieces, top and bottom here, that come apart. And
you ship everywhere.
we ship all over the country.
This wall behind me, I really like, because this whole thing should belong in my house someday. Even starting way up there with that taxidermied
The bobcat.
bobcat,
Right,
and then coming down to a nice painting you probably found in
right.
an antique store. But these are increasingly more and more popular.
These are
snowshoes.
antique snowshoes, and then we put our application of the sconces on them.
But these are different, Steve, because much more detail
Right.
than you normally see. And the other thing, and this is something to really look out for, I think, when you want these for your house, pay a little extra and get the ones that go into the electrical box that you
Right.
put right in at the height that you want your lamp.
Exactly.
And don't get the ones with the cord trailing down.
We hardwire these, and we encourage our people to hardwire. It just looks so much nicer. We hide all our wires inside.
And you can put these on dimmers and they look just wonderful.
Right, exactly.
This little shelf is
Well,
really
it's a little
charming.
shelf. It all kind of this collection here. It's a little shelf.
You did that?
Yes, we did. And then we wanted to match with the sconce or the wall sconce. So
Come
we
down
did-
here with me because I want to show the people this. This is just gorgeous. You're famous for a lot of things at Arden Creek, but this, in fact, you're flying out to the West Coast to do this somewhere.
Right, we do it all over the country.
And this is just cedar bark, beautifully framed with what kind of wood?
That's cherry.
And then the pine.
Right, exactly.
And a little chair railing.
Right, exactly.
And what I really like, what you've done here with the outlets, is that you've gone over them with a little bit of stain.
Right, to mask it, to blend in with the birch bark.
That's wonderful.
We did do the valance for our draperies, and that all is part of the, it's all part of the look.
Well, this whole room matches.
Right, it's all one matching room.
So I can call Arden Creek Design up and say, I want it all to look this way, this whole entire room, and you guys will do it?
We'll do it. Do a series for you.
No kidding.
Yeah, whatever you need.
Now, before we leave Arden Creek Design, I wanted to show you the perfect example of how you can turn any room into your house into one with that rustic mystique. Steve has taken this small bathroom, for example, that was just nothing more than sheetrock and pine wood and turned it into a wonderful rustic room. There's the mirror hutch right there in front of you, little door down below where you can store away the toiletries. And then on either side of the mirror hutch, you've got this wonderful little wildlife tableau that are both resting on these wonderful homemade shelves that are done with that antique birch. And then up on another bigger shelf overlooking the entire room for your safety and protection, the coyote, Mr. Coyote. And that's it. That's how simple it is to turn any room into one that has that wonderful Adirondack rustic feeling. Okay, Aubrey, over to you. And we'll see you later. We want to thank Steve, by the way, for sharing all of Arden Creek Design with us. He wanted to say goodbye, but he's with a customer, so I'll say goodbye for him. We'll see you later. I've got a little bit of business to do. Excuse me. Oh, anybody got any reading? Oh, phew, thank you very much. I'm all set. Bye-bye now.
Well, Derek, as soon as you're done taking care of your business there, you've got to check out Camp Nutmeg here in Keene, New York. It's similar to Camp Arden in the fact that both owners obviously have a very deep appreciation for the Adirondack camps in the rustic tradition. But whereas Camp Arden is obviously genuinely older and the owners took a lot of time to restore it and keep it that way, Camp Nutmeg is brand spanking new. but the owners took a lot of time on making it look old. We're gonna go inside and you'll see what I mean. But first, I see High Peaks Builders truck here, and I was not expecting on seeing you today, Mr. Sean Casey. How are you?
Good.
Sean was the contractor on this project. How long did this take you?
About 18 months.
18 months. That's quite a long time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why is this different than a lot of the other projects you've worked on?
Well, most of the projects we work on are twigs and logs, interior and out, real rustic finish.
Right.
This one's more of an arts and crafts style. With the cedar shakes and the painted trim and the real detailed overhangs.
Yeah, the overhangs are beautiful.
Yeah.
And is that a copper roof?
Yes, it is.
That'll be a lot more durable than the shingles, right?
That's for sure.
Okay. So are you going to take me inside?
Nope, Leslie Courtney's in there.
Okay.
And she's the interior decorator, and she's going to walk you through all the high-end interior finishes.
Great. I'm sure this project was a lot of fun.
It was.
You
Great.
did a wonderful job. Thanks,
Thank you.
Sean. I'll see you soon,
You
okay?
bet. Bye.
Well, hello. You must be Leslie.
Hi, Aubrey. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Camp Nutmeg.
Thank you. This is incredible.
This is the mudroom, and in this room, we tried to do a mixture of materials. If you look around, you'll notice that we have some cedar shingle, we have some painted clapboards, and we also have some barn siding.
So it's almost like this is still the outside.
Yes, yes. So Aubrey, this is the great room.
Look at this, Leslie. Now it's small, which is not very typical of big camps.
That's right.
The great room usually takes up most of the floor plan.
Right.
But I like it because it's really cozy.
It is cozy, and that was one of our primary goals, was to keep this part of the house very comfortable for two people, because
Right.
although it's a large family that owns the home, just the husband and wife often come up alone, and they wanted to be able to feel comfortable and cozy. We have a vaulted ceiling here.
And little nooks with the windows.
Yes, yep, our
And
dormers.
I absolutely love the designs in the ceiling and that
Yes.
border. That's birch bark and reverse birch bark with some twig work.
That's right.
And somebody local did those?
Yes, it was Larry and Joanne Post.
Fabulous job. Now, are we going to see that throughout the house?
You will. You'll see little vignettes, but we kept it understated, although you'll see it in every room, and then we introduced other elements working off of the theme of nature.
And talk about subdued. This dining room table is really understated.
It is. It is. We wanted the dining room set to be very simple.
Yeah.
The clients have been coming up here to the Adirondacks for many, many years and staying at some of the older camps, hiking camps, where the furnishings are much more subdued and look as though they've been gathered over time. So that's what we were trying to achieve here. And the table is made from wood gathered from the property and crafted by a local furniture maker.
So this fireplace is American granite?
Yes, it is, and it was sourced locally here in upstate New York. And we have two stone corbels supporting that antique beam. Above it we have a tobacco basket. The whole thing is scaled properly for the room, and it's just a great focal point and center of this room.
More often than not, I'm seeing the barn beam being used as a mantle, which really adds to the rusticness of the room.
Yes.
So let's talk about the furnishings, because you had a big role in this, right?
I did, yes. The furniture, again, our goal was always to make this home look as though it had evolved over time. We wanted it to be very understated and look as though several generations of the same family had collected these possessions and put them together over time. And so we have some things that the clients owned, for instance, these two rugs and this sofa, which we recovered, and then the rest of the new upholstered furniture, we chose fabrics that, although they coordinate well together, they're not overly matchy.
Kitchens are always hard to keep the rustic feel going because you have modern appliances that need to be in here.
Right, we do. And so what we did was we introduced some earthy colors in here with paint. You still see the wood behind you that you saw in the great room.
Right.
But we wanted to introduce some color in here and make it a little bit different. This kitchen is not overly large square footage wise, but we do have all the modern conveniences. We have a very large refrigerator freezer. We've got a dishwasher.
And you just covered that and painted it the same color of your walls.
We did. We wanted to keep a seamless look so that your eye was not stopped or interrupted by a finish such as stainless steel in such a small place.
Another thing I want to point out is hardware. Take a look at the hardware here on this drawer. I mean, this is the detail we're talking about here.
Yes.
What a difference it makes on such a plain cabinet. All right, so it's small in here. There was no room for an island.
That's right, but we did add a feature that you may not have seen before, and that is we made this side of the cabinetry deeper. Typical cabinet depth on the lower cabinets is 24 inches, but we pulled this out so that our work surface is still 24 inches, but we have the shelf behind where you can place your condiments and your supplies and still maintain a nice deep space to work and do your prep work.
That's a great idea. All right, so next stop.
Next stop is the master bedroom.
Okay.
And I think you'll be surprised it's different from what you've seen so
A little
far.
bit different? Are we gonna see wood?
You'll see some wood,
But not as much.
not as much.
All right. You weren't kidding. This is very different.
Yes.
But it's very refreshing. Gets away from the wood theme.
Right.
Although you kept it in the ceiling, which is really nice.
Right.
And then you used the lighter colors, which is perfect for a bedroom.
We did. And there is so much wood in the rest of the house, which we love. But I think that having a couple of rooms that are painted breaks it up and actually enhances the wood in the rest of the house to have that contrast.
Really nice. And then it has a private balcony.
Yes, which is great.
Of course, for a master bedroom.
Yes.
And then I like how you kept the furniture very sleek and elegant in here.
We did. It's country, but the lines are very clean. And we used a tall 4-poster bed here, but we wanted it to be very simple in keeping with the furnishings in the rest of the house, which are more country and more arts and crafts style. So Aubrey, this is the largest of the 6 bathrooms in the house.
Right. And this one is probably my favorite because of the shower.
The shower is amazing. This is a steam shower, and it also has the waterfall feature, which is amazing.
Yeah.
We've used rough cut granite on the exterior walls, almost as if that's the foundation
Absolutely.
of the house. And then we mixed in other materials such as the river stone. There's also some glass tile in here. And we've kept all of the colors, natural colors, the grays, browns, rust colors that you see in nature and that you see actually in the material, the natural materials.
Tell me about this floor.
This is a slate floor, and we've used 3 sizes of the slate here. There's a 3x3, a 6x6, and then these little mosaics, and we've just put it into this pattern.
It really works great off the river rock, the river
Yes.
stone in the bottom of the shower.
Right.
This room is probably the largest bedroom out of all of them.
Yes, it is. This is the bunk room. It sleeps 5, and this room was built in mind of future grandchildren.
Right. And it's a perfect room for kids. Now, when you said bunk room, I was thinking about your standard bunk beds, but this is really campy. Like even the beds looks like you almost like picked them up somewhere.
These are antique beds, and we painted 2 of them. The 2 against the wall that are painted a barn red, we painted. And then there are some over here that are more of a spool type bed, and we left that in the finish that the beds were found in. And then we have a 5th bed in the room that's a day bed, and that is also painted. So we're mixing up painted and naturally finished furniture.
And it's a lot brighter in here than a lot of the other rooms are.
Yes.
Did you do that intentionally
We
with
did.
kids in mind?
We did. We want this to be a cheerful space for people to hang out and children to play,
Right.
As well as for going to bed at night.
Exactly. Now this game room is directly below the great room, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I'm usually not good with directions, but I can tell by the fireplace.
This was your clue.
Yes, this
Yes.
was my clue.
Yes. So this is the same granite that we saw upstairs, and
Right.
this room is directly below the great room and very similar in proportions to that space.
So what were some of your challenges down here in designing?
Well, one of our challenges was to warm the space up. Basements are typically cool feeling,
Right.
but we used wood cladding on the walls similar to what we have upstairs, although this is probably a wood you've never heard of. It's called mushroom wood.
I have never heard of mushroom wood. Why do they call it that?
Well, actually it's oak, and it's reclaimed from pallets that they use to grow mushrooms. And then we designed these, Lane designed these beautiful wood panels on the ceiling, and they were executed by Joanne and Larry Post again. And it's just beautiful, and I think that that detail on the ceiling really helps this room especially.
Yeah, because really, typically you probably don't need much on the ceiling, but because you don't have the architecture that you have upstairs, it's just a flat ceiling, it really works down here.
Yes, it does.
And a little bit different with the furniture in here. The furnishings are a little bit more cozy, and you have leather chairs here.
We do. And we have this big ottoman. There's 2 groupings here. One is a television viewing area, which could be for a movie in the evening or watching a game on TV. And then we have a pool playing area.
Yeah.
And then we have this ottoman in the middle in front of the fireplace so that that can go either way.
Yeah, it really works nicely. So I have to go now though, Leslie, but do you want to play a game of pool before I leave?
Well, how about a cup of coffee?
Yeah, that sounds better, doesn't it? Let's go. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Production of Rustic Living on Mountain Lake PBS is made possible in part by the Adirondack Museum at Blue Mountain Lake, New York. Exhibits and collections, historic buildings, and scenic spots that tell the stories of life, work, and play in the Adirondack Park. History is in our nature. The Lake Placid Lodge, a Relais Chateau resort located on the shores of Lake Placid in the heart of the Adirondack Mountains. An elegant, rustic lodge with old-world charm, warmly welcoming our friends and neighbors. The Lake Placid Lodge is a proud supporter of Mountain Lake PBS and Rustic Living.
So although all the bathrooms are a little bit different, they're all similar too in a way.
Yes, we tried to stay with an overriding theme in the bathrooms. So all of the bathrooms do have slate on the floors in one form or another. Sometimes we've mixed it with wood,
Right.
which is really interesting and different. The counter surfaces are always a honed stone, and we tried to use stones that looked very rustic. In the master bathroom, for instance, we used a limestone and there are little fossils in it. And then in the showers, we used a combination of ceramic, glass, and then a slate in various ways. So there's a uniformity, but each one is designed slightly differently.
The program you just watched is available on DVD for $14.95 plus shipping and handling. To order your copy, call toll-free 1-800-836-5700 or order online at www.mountainlake.org. New York State residents add applicable sales tax.